Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Unit Selection Review for Avenue South residents. Okay, this project has recently garnered quite a bit of media attention, and also at the same time it has been quite popular among new homeowners and investors because by virtue of its proximity to the greater southern waterfront as announced by our Prime Minister in the National Day rally. Okay, so this project has been deemed as the gateway for the entire new southern waterfront, which everybody has said that it's actually a very exciting project because uh, if you are aware that actually Keppel has already moved out and subsequently other ports are actually going to move out as well. The last being Pasir Panjang. They're all actually going to move to Tuas Megaport. So this entire area with starting from this Silat Avenue all the way through to Harbourfront and where's this Telok Blangah actually will be a pretty exciting transformation. It will the entire area slated for redevelopment is actually almost estimated 6 times the size of the current Marina Bay. So with the transformation of Marina Bay from what it was previously, if you still remember the days where there was a bowling alley and then it was basically just a giant so-called park with not much organization to so to speak. With the very first reclamation and the transformation of, if you do recall, the very first residential project in Marina Bay area was actually the sale, and rightfully there were two towers in the sale as well, and the first owners the first owners of the sale has actually made quite a bit of money. In fact, I know a number of them, but that's another story for another day. But using that as a reference for Marina Bay, you can actually see that the kind of transformation that the government is going to put in place. So that is the main reason why this project has garnered so much excitement. In fact, it has the kind of excitement on the balloting day has actually overshadowed every single other new launch, I would say, of recently. You name it, Treasure, Florence, Affinity, so on and so forth. Because this project, I would say, is currently one of the hottest, if not one of the hottest, of the entire new launches in the pipeline. So you'll be aware that actually this place was partially so-called reclaimed area. It used to be some old HDB rental low-rise there. In fact, now if you still drive past, you can actually see all the low-rise that has actually been conserved. It used to be, if I'm not wrong, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments later. It used to be, I think it used to be during the colonial times. It used to be some residence for the British Army. I may be wrong. And then also, that's besides the point, but you'll be aware, if you're familiar with this project, you'll be aware that there's actually only two towers, and the rest of the blocks are actually conservation, which the developer is going to remake it into low-rise units. So before that, before I actually move into the actual units itself, I would like to give you some insight to the orientation itself. Okay, you can see here I have on here street directory. Okay, a quick run through of this is actually where Avenue South is going to sit. So block 11 and 13 are the two towers you can see from here. The rest 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 are actually the heritage conservation buildings low rise that I was actually talking about. Okay, so this green corridor is what everybody is also excited about. This is actually a 24-kilometer green corridor that the government is going to redevelop. It used to be part of our railway line, okay, that runs through, if you do remember, it runs all the way through Bukit Timah, King Albert Park, that side, and all the way to Malaysia back in the days. So the government is actually redeveloping this entire green corridor. So so this project is actually trying to integrate with this green corridor. So that is why it actually links back towards the Tanjong Pagar railway station, and this entire plot is the one that a lot of people has been so-called, I wouldn't say speculating, but a lot of people has been excited for so many years. Back in the day when I was doing Spottiswoode, if you are familiar with the area, when I was doing Spottiswoode residences, back then they have actually already started talks about redeveloping this entire piece of land, because back then the land ownership of the Tanjong Pagar Railway was returned back to us. So that was, I would say, 2014, 2015. During that period of time, there was already a lot of buzz about this entire plot of land. So lo and behold, now in 2019, we actually have this new launch that's going to happen. Okay, so orientate yourself north, south, east, west. So these are actually pretty old HDB flats. The average age, if I am correct, is about 1981. Okay, these are, I wouldn't say they are high rise. They are pretty low rise, except the point blocks here. So as you can see, there's actually 2 point blocks here. This is the famous this is actually, let me pull up further, this is actually the famous Thai temple. Okay, so basically how to access is, basically you come in from Jalan Bukit Merah. Usually if you exit from city, this is the way that you will take. So you will take the Kampong Baru, and then you will take Silat Avenue. This is where actually the main entrance is going to be. Okay, so if you are taking this site, you will be overlooking the CTE, and also you'll be looking over this HDB estate. Okay, but don't worry about it. Later I will actually explain more in detail about the assortment of units, then you will actually understand what you are actually going to be selecting and looking at. Okay, so without further ado, let's go straight into the 1-bedroom units. Okay, so I have actually circled in red once again the stack for the 1-bedroom units. Okay, you have to remember that for this entire project, there's actually three collections. Okay, they are namely the heritage. They call it the heritage block 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. They are the low rise, 4 stories of conservation units. Okay, and then you actually have the 2 towers. Okay, the 2 towers, they actually also split it into 2 different categories. One, the lower ones is where they call the horizon. The higher ones from level 37 onwards are actually all the way to the top 56. They are actually called the peak collection. Okay, so you can see here that there are basically only 4 stacks of 1 bedroom. For 1 bedroom, I would say that they are pretty decent size. But before we talk about the floor plan, let's once again we orientate ourselves once again. So Jalan Bukit Merah is where this is gonna be, where my pointer is actually running across. Okay, somewhere diagonally down actually. Okay, which is actually much further up out of the screen, so you have to apply a bit of imagination here. So from Jalan Bukit Merah, you actually turn in. Okay, you actually turn in, and then along to this Kampong Baru Road. Okay, so Kampong Baru Road, then after that you make a right turn once again, depending on where you're coming from, right or left turn into Silat Avenue. So this is where the main entrance is gonna be. Okay, so thankfully for the one beders, you will not be getting so-called much of any west sun, as they are not directly facing west sun. The only unit that I would say is in danger is 34, okay, stack 34, because to put it simply, it is actually slanted towards northwest, so you might get a bit of west sun, but it's negligible. Okay, you can also see that the developer has very cleverly put the stack numbers with 4 to be actually facing the HDB estate and the city highway. Yes, I do agree that if you are on a very high up level, you wouldn't be getting much noise from the expressway itself. Probably I would say maybe level 30 or 35 onwards, the 30-ish onwards, you may be getting very minimal noise. Not to forget that you're actually sitting on elevated ground. Okay, that's one thing. Okay, but the price point, the price as in PRIZZE, the price feature of this entire project is simply because you are potentially facing the southern waterfront. So to speak, you're actually getting sea view, and whatever future development that is going to happen there, the government has not really decided exactly what is going to be. But once again, making reference to, I'm only doing a projection into the future, making reference to the sale. Okay, you can actually picture and imagine, if you've ever been to the sale, that, and you will also know for a fact that for rental income, units stacks that are actually facing One Raffles Quay, the inward city, the One Raffles Quay, basically, for the sale, I'm talking about the sale, they command a lesser rental generally than those that are so-called the bay facing. So using that as a reference, the price stacks I would say here is very obvious, is either 29 or 39, because what is towards the south here is obviously the waterfront. Once again, let me exit and show you through street directory. It's okay, so I have to zoom out, you try to follow me. So when you see the word here, Silat, okay, this is where ASR Avenue South is. Okay, so you can actually see that once I zoom out, is a bigger picture. So this entire place, you're actually facing so-called the waterfront from here. Okay, so this entire area is what the government has actually gazetted as the Greater Southern Waterfront. So obviously, if you ask me, besides price being a point of consideration, facing towards the HDB and towards the inner city, or facing towards the southern waterfront, where potentially the government could be building another Gardens by the Bay like thing, and you are also facing the green corridor. Okay, obviously the choice is very, very obvious here. Okay, so without further ado, let's go into the floor plan. Okay, so you can see here from the header, the green ones are actually what we call the Horizon collection. So the Horizon collection, Horizon being Horizon, still they actually classify this as the lower, I wouldn't say lower end, but they are just in terms of the lower floor units. So you can see here, they're actually lower floors. Okay, layout wise is very standard and very simple. Main door you come in is usual kitchenette, and then you have your dining, living, and then you have your balcony. So okay, so take note that for stack 34 and 44 are the units that are actually facing northwards, which are facing the HDB and facing CTE. So you need to keep that in mind. Okay, You can actually see from here, but I believe it's a bit too small, but no worries about that. Okay, so next we actually go on to the peak collection. The peak collection meaning they are on the higher floor. So as I've mentioned, from 37 onwards, all the way to the top 56. So same thing here, you are seeing why do you see the exact same layout is simply because they are exact same stack 34 and 44. So quickly I switch in between, you can see that there is almost, I wouldn't say that there's any difference in fact between the layout itself. Okay, size wise they are also the same. Okay, sorry, yeah, this is the one. So this is once again the green one are actually the horizon collection. Okay, and this is the peak collection. Okay, you can see that the size is 527. I wouldn't say it's really very small compared to some of the earlier launches where they have the studio whereby you is only about 300 over square feet. Those are really sorrowfully small. 527 I would say for one bedder is still considered decent. Okay, so now we go to type A2. Okay, so this is where the ones are the stacks that are actually facing the southern waterfront towards the sea. So you can see from here is stack 29 and stack 39. Okay, once again there isn't much difference in fact. Okay, the only, like I said, the only price possession. In fact, imagine you are an owner of this unit itself. How would you feel if your balcony and your living room is actually facing the future Greater Southern Waterfront, where the government is actually building a lot of green stuff, and they will be redeveloping the entire Keppel Brani area. So, and in fact you can even see pocket of Sentosa. So can you imagine that, between the difference between that and this? Okay, so this is the type A2 for the lower floors one, which are the horizon units. Okay, so once again same size 527, no difference. Okay, and these are the peak. So simply just imagine if you are looking at you are staying on the 54th floor. For this you can see from here that regardless 56 or 54, if you are staying on the 54th floor, you'll be looking the entire waterfront area. So that will really make a very big difference to me, especially I don't even want to talk about rental. I would say attracting a potential second buyer. So this is a very key difference in it. Okay, so very quickly I actually come to the end of my unit selection for Avenue South residents. I hope you actually like the video. Do let us know your comments below, and if you find this video helpful, you can share it with your friends, and do subscribe to our channel. Okay, my name is Edwin. So once again, thank you for watching. I will actually see you in the next video where I will be going through the 2-bedroom unit selection. Okay, so see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.